Hey everybody, this is Tyler Main, and you are listening to WithoutYourHead.com. I still got mine. You got yours?
Welcome to the station of decapitation without your head. I'm Nasty Neil.
That would make me Terrible Troy.
And we're joined by the Penance Lane director, Peter Engert.
Yep, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Very good to have you here.
Yeah,
Precious from the... Yes, and Precious herself, RENAE Geerlings.
Yes, hello.
Hello. And the star of Penance Lane, Tyler Main.
Hey, how you doing, Neil?
I'm very good, very good. It's good to have you guys all here. I haven't seen Tyler in a long time. I've never met Peter or RENAE. As far as I know. Maybe I did. I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, I don't believe so. Can you give... for people who are not aware yet, can you give them an idea of what Penance Lane is about?
I'll throw that one to RENAE. Go ahead.
Sorry, RENAE. I probably should have asked someone specifically, I guess.
I'm on the hot seat for this one. Penance Lane is the story about Crimson Matthews, who's just been released from prison and comes to a sleepy little town of Chesterton looking for a second chance. And through the kind acts of some of the people in the town, he gets a job working as a handyman in a house that's pretty dilapidated. And what he finds there is it's pretty dark and pretty surprising. And then can he get out of this little web of secrets this town has been keeping?
All hell breaks loose, so to speak.
Exactly. And as our critic said on our website who just reviewed the movie, he liked how Tyler's character just kind of appears. You know a little bit of his background, but you don't know a lot, and it's just he's looking for work, and he's just kind of there, and it keeps it mysterious about him, which I like.
Yeah, we figured we'd just drop him into the situation and have everybody take the ride with him.
Mm-hmm. So, Peter, how did you get involved to direct the movie?
Well, it's an interesting story. In beginning of 2016, if I recall correctly, RENAE, Tyler, and myself, we were talking about another movie that never came to fruition, and then, because of that movie, they watched Aftermath, which is one of my previous movies. It's a character-driven horror, if that genre even exists. And then. They were looking for director, and I read the script. I sent a director's concept to them, and then, a month later, I've been receiving location images, and then we were in. Like 3 months later, we were shooting in April.
Now, Tyler, did you know Peter beforehand?
Well, we've been discussing the other project and previous project, and we were looking for a director at that time, and we hit it off with Peter. Yeah, it fit. The match fit, and you can tell with what we have on screen that it all worked out.
And if you get a chance to watch Aftermath, you'll see that there's a little bit of a likeness, which we noticed right away. That it also is based around one location, and you have some characters in one house in a basement for the most part. And he found a way to add movement to the shots, so you didn't just feel like you were in one spot watching people talk. There was a lot of really interesting stuff that he did with camera movement and giving depth and movement when two people were just sitting there. And so immediately we looked at that and said, yeah, this is our guy.
That's what we need. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big part of Penance Lane is the house itself, and you don't know what's going on for a lot of the movie, and the house itself is a character, for much of the movie.
That's right.
Yeah, we wanted to be a character all the way along. It is like one of the main. It is the main character. It's about the house on Penance Lane and what's going on inside that house.
So, how did you find a house to be Penance Lane? Like, where did you film it?
Funny story.
I was doing a lot of scouting here for quite a while and looking at various different houses in different cities in Georgia and around Georgia, around the Atlanta area. And I was out in Grantville searching and came across this house. and we started doing research. I started doing inquiring and research on the home, and David, the owner of the home, had just passed away. And jump on in there, well, Renee. You know this. he was a horror writer.
He was a horror writer. It was kind of a perfect fit. He had been a horror writer, and he had just passed away a couple months previous, and so it just the house was in a little bit of disrepair. It had great porches. It had great windows, and so using that house made a lot of sense. But to your other point for the basement, that basement was actually recreated on another location. The interior of the house was created on another location, which was a little closer to home. Peter, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because Tyler bought this house, which I rather call it a mansion, and then the basement of the house is above ground level. So the basement actually has windows. So we shot all the interiors for first floor, second floor, and basement in Tyler's and Renee's house. And we built everything there. It was outstanding because I had a room in one of in the real house, and then in the morning we woke up, we had coffee, a little breakfast, we went downstairs and we started to shoot. And and we kept shooting until we finished the day. And then we talked about the next day. We went to sleep. We woke up again and we went downstairs. And then it just went on and on until we started to argue and hate each other.
Like every film. But it definitely was the easiest commute to set that we had. That's for sure.
It was a good commute.
Right. And now when you go down in your own basement, do you ever get like a little creeped out or anything, thinking of what happened in the movie?
Well, actually, we're sitting
in the basement right now.
In the basement right now.
Place, but it's
I call it the world's most extreme makeover. It does not look like the movie anymore.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I was glad you had to make it over, and it just didn't naturally look like that. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, I wonder if we have to disclose the amount of murders that went in this house when we sell it, or it doesn't just film murders, right? So we should be good.
Right, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
I'm an expert. But, yeah.
I actually said, I don't know. I mean, I think it's awesome that our house is, that it's private enough that we could film a lot of screaming down in the basement, but I don't know if I feel good that I know that I can scream at the top of my lungs. You will know.
Right. Double-edged sword there. Yeah, no one is going to do anything. They'll just think, they're just making a movie.
Yep.
So Renee and Tyler also, credited as producers. So it sounds like you were, really involved in the movie, not just, on camera.
Well, yeah, I was presented the movie in 2002 by Munir Sharif. Actually, it was brought to Renee because Renee and Munir.
That's not true. That's not true. The story of us getting the script was actually that Tyler had a bunch of scripts that his agent had given him, saying people are looking for or looking at you for these scripts. Take a look at them, and he said, "Hey, you're a comic book editor. You want to look at these scripts and give me your opinion?" And I opened the cover of this one and saw Munir Sharif's name. And what was crazy was I was working with Munir at Top Cow Productions at that very moment on a comic book called Battle of the Planets. And I immediately called him and said, "Munir, I just saw this script. Why didn't you just give it to me? And he had no idea that Tyler and I were an item, I guess. So he went the long way. But that was 2002. So I actually said to Tyler the other day, interesting factoid, a baby could have been born at the time that we got this script, and they could actually be actively serving in the military at this point.
Yeah. So we've been basically pushing this ball uphill for 18 years.
Wow.
And trying to get it ready. And the script went through revisions. It was originally called Like Hell. I decided to change it to Penance Lane.
Did you just look at me wondering what the title of your movie was?
No, I did not. And So we changed the name to Penance Lane, and then we kept pushing the ball uphill. We had investors come and go, and then when it came time to shooting in 2016, we needed to make the movie. It had been 14 years since I'd been doing it, and I was going to get this movie done come hell or high water.
I mean, just a little bit of history. We were originally looking at Penance Lane, and we thought it was going, and then it wasn't. We thought it was going, and then our investors were in the housing market when that crashed. And then finally I said to Tyler, why don't we try something a little more smaller and contained and do that first? And that ended up being Compound Fracture. As soon as Compound Fracture was out, we started prepping for this film, and we were actually looking at North Carolina. We went to North Carolina, and we were looking at locations. And then North Carolina did away with their tax incentive. We had an investor default. And so then we were, back to the drawing board, like, okay, now what? And then we were looking at Michigan because that's where I'm from, but their tax incentive wasn't active anymore. And I had some assets there that we could have used, but it just didn't make sense. We looked at Kentucky, we looked at Missouri, we looked at New Mexico, Texas. We finally ended up in Canada with the Granger brothers. We're going to direct. But the difficulty with the low budget in Canada is that you basically have to hand it over to Canadian companies, and
it needs to become Canadian content.
Yeah, and after all that we had done, even though Tyler is Canadian himself, we were not a Canadian production company, so we would have had to hand it over. So we took our toys and came back to the United States, and that's when Atlanta became our location, and we bought the house here and found Peter and the crew and did it here.
Mm-hmm. Well, when did you start doing producing your own movies, as opposed to just being an actor?
Well, that would have been like this one, which we picked up in 2002, so we're on our second one now. And what we're looking at next is trying to step into the TV world. And we've got a couple of properties that we're dealing with right now getting off the ground. And hopefully, if, with this COVID stuff going away, we can maybe go into production later in the fall.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And right now is a perfect time for series because there's so many platforms that need content.
Yeah, there's so many. It's the game's forever changing, and that's the hard part, keeping up with the game. And it's the distribution game has changed drastically since we started getting into it.
Yeah, just from Compound Fracture to this one, it's completely different. Even Peter, I'm sure you can speak to Aftermath. I mean, everything just shifts so quickly.
Yeah, definitely. They are releasing Aftermath, as a matter of fact.
Oh, they're re-releasing it? That's great.
Where?
Yeah, they're doing that. Well, they're doing that, and they're doing Loving the Badman as well, another movie. Because there's still interest for it, especially Loving the Badman. It's a totally different genre, totally different movie, but it's right now people are looking for different type of movies, and I think this is a perfect time for Penance Lane. This is probably the best time for us to release it.
Well, why do you say that?
Because yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, everybody's home watching movies. That's the only thing you do. Or read books.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, we're re-releasing Compound Fracture too
in the fall.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
Yep. Yeah. That's a whole nother story, but we can get into that later.
All right. So I really like Penance Lane, and not just because you guys are here. I really liked it a lot. I thought it was a great performances, and it's really it kept you. You didn't know exactly what was going on in the house, and you didn't know throughout a lot of the movie, and it kept you interested in see what was going to happen. But everyone in it's great. There's so many great actors in Penance Lane. So how did you go about casting the movie?
Oh yeah, I mean, we had a rough idea who we were going to do, and if we were going to be doing it, in Los Angeles when we originally had other people that we wanted, but when it came down to it here, I knew I was going to call Booker. I knew we had a previous relationship with John, so we reached out to John because he'd be a great Father John.
He is.
And I'd worked with Scout. Obviously, this is our fourth movie together.
Yeah, we actually the character of Sherry was always Scout. That was actually a character that kind of got added in a later iteration, and we knew we wanted Scout.
Yeah.
So we've been setting this up for the cast that we wanted for quite a while.
Yeah, did you know Booker T and DDP from WCW?
Yeah, I wrestled with Booker quite a bit because I was Nitron tagged with Doom and Woman.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day, yeah, we spent some time on the road together, and Dallas. I've known Dallas for quite a while, and it was great to get back together with those guys.
And Dallas is local to Atlanta, so that was perfect.
Yeah, and I've seen DDP in a lot of stuff, and I knew he's a good actor. And I haven't seen Booker in anything, and so I didn't know what to expect. But he's really good in the movie.
Great.
He's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. He has a lot of presence.
Actually, it's Booker's first feature film.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's really good in the movie. It's a really good role.
Great.
Really good. Yeah.
He's great. We've already talked to him about being in our next stuff. So.
Oh, that really works. Five-time champion, Booker T.
You got it.
And you mentioned John Schneider. He's awesome. I don't want to give too much away about his role or anything, but he is really great in the movie. He's very fun to watch.
That character, thank you.
Fantastic.
We also agree because John is, I've always been a fangirl of John, so having him was a little bit of a personal dream, but that character is actually hard to cast. I mean, if you know the movie, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but that character has kind of a bit of range and has to be able to do a lot of different things. And you have to have the right actor who can do that. And he could, and he did.
Yeah, he's awesome. And Tyler, you're very good in the movie too, by the way.
Oh, right. Well, thank you.
You're very well. So Peter, for everybody really, but Peter wasn't involved in 2002, but have the movie like in the works for so long, and then you finally get it out there, like it's going to be, I would assume, very personal to finally get this movie made and get people to see it.
Well, yeah. I mean, go ahead, Renee. I mean, if you like, go ahead and answer, and I'll answer after.
Oh no, you go ahead. Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, look, I mean, you have to understand one thing. When I started to talk to Renee and Tyler, they were super welcoming, and it's they've really opened to hear your opinion, which is very refreshing in this industry. And then when you start working with them and these kind of people, and then you get involved with the project, and then you start working on it. It's a struggle. It's in a way it's an independent movie. We struggle to every single day. We have so many obstacles, and we have little sources. So we were fighting really, really hard for this movie, and and when it comes to this point for the release, it's well deserved. And, I always say it doesn't matter, end of the day. I mean, we don't know where it's going to take us or where the movie is going to go. Hopefully people will like it. But end of the day, this is your own journey until you release the movie. And I think the journey is really, really important because in the past 3-4 days, 4 years, I'm sorry, we've been going through a lot of hesitation whether it's going to go out or not and how people are going to like it or not. But from this point on, after 21st, that journey ends. Now this movie, it's on its own journey. And then, so it's really, really nice to see that it's finally out. And I'm so happy for the entire crew, the cast, the team, and especially Tyler and Renee.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And I just want to give a little shout out. We had actually met a group of guys. I think you actually know, Neil, from Long Island, that Tyler and I had met at a horror convention years ago. And we worked with them on Abnormal Attraction, and it was Michael Levy, Jason Levy, Steven Della Sala, Robert Privatera, and Kyle Mullins from the Fuzz on the Lens group, who came down and brought their equipment, and they were on-set producers with us because I was coming and going out of town, and Tyler obviously is in all the scenes. And so, they came down and brought their equipment and did a ton of work, and we were just really lucky. It was a very short shoot, and we had a lot of people who came in and just really worked very hard.
Yeah. That's very cool. Now, I love the look of the villains. I don't want to say exactly what they are, but they look great. So you're just coming up with their look. I assume that wasn't stuff you had, in your basement.
We had some production designs done a long time ago, but that was actually Shane Morton and Chris Brown who did all the leather work.
But who did the concept art for us?
The concept art was actually an artist that I worked with named Ron Leary, who had done original concept art for those characters that we, sort of built off of when it actually came time to really execute and produce the final concept of them.
Yeah. I assume you do a lot of your own stunts, Tyler, with your wrestling background.
Yeah, I'm slowing down a little bit, but yeah, I definitely went through the wall, and it was a fun shoot, and I knew that with it being an 18-day shoot, I knew I needed to bring top-notch people with me, so I reconnected with Ben Jensen, who was, him and his dad were the stunt coordinators on X-Men back in the day.
Oh, wow.
So I brought Ben in to help take care of me, and then I brought my stunt double, Troy Brenna, to play one of the big bad guys who doubled me.
He's Duke.
So, we got to tussle a little bit in the film, and so yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun mixing it up with all those guys again.
I mean, it's always fun to bring your friends in to work with,
sure.
And if you can do that, then things are just going to be a lot more fun.
Yeah. How are you doing, health wise? From years of a wrestler, and then also the movies, and being a big guy.
Yeah, no, I'm still moving pretty good. My background it started with the martial arts and all of that, and then went into the wrestling, and then getting thrown through tables and all that stuff, and then now we're at where we are today. I'm moving a little slower in the morning. I'm good in the afternoon, and then towards the nighttime it gets a little slow again. But it's not bad for an old man, so to speak.
I'm not allowed to say that, by the way. I'm never allowed to say that.
Right. I got you. So, Peter, what was it like to direct Tyler?
Well, it was interesting because, prior to the movie, we have a different approach. I remember one time I sent him a several pages long character description, how I see the character. And then I'm like, I sent the email. I'm like, okay, this is good. This is great. And then 1 day passed, nothing. 2 days passed, nothing. I don't think he ever responded to me. It's been 4 years. And then,
well, he's here now.
Then I realized that it's actually on the screen, so it's good.
Oh, okay.
But the point is, what I'm making is that you have to realize that there are different people. They approach differently. They have their own method, their own way of understanding the character, which you actually get to know. And you work with, when they show up on the set, okay, they already know what they want. They already have an idea how they want it. And then with this group of actors we work with, these are super talented, super experienced actors. And when they show up, you only have a couple minutes to figure it out. What is that they're using? How they are working? And then obviously I had specific ideas how I wanted to see the movie, and my shot list was over 25 pages long. Again, you're dealing with an independent film, so that shot list basically means nothing at the end of the, when you start shooting. However, when you starting your day, you have to be very, very creative to use all those elements that are available and keeping that original vision in mind. And that's why I was doing the shot list, I was doing the description for the characters and whatnot. And then, so back to the actors, they show up and they all, Danny Roebuck works in a totally different way than Tyler. And after a couple of days, I started to understand, he has his own moments. He comes in, you have to run a couple of takes as he wants it, and then you add some notes, or you tell them something that the way you see it, and they try, or sometimes they totally ignore you. And then you realize that, thank God they ignored you. And then, but sometimes they listen. So it's really, really interesting when you have an independent film, very low sources, but super talented actors, because you really have to be there for them. And I hope I was there for Tyler, and I really I was looking forward to working with him, because obviously he was the lead in it, so I tried to give him all the support I could.
Yeah. So Tyler, do you remember those notes he sent you?
I do. I didn't. I'm not a big emailer. You can ask me that one. I figured we'd talk when he got here, and we did. So
yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So I didn't respond to the emails, but we were on the same page pretty much, and like you said, we do a take, and as an actor, you come in, have an idea of how you want to see it, and you deliver it, and then you talk and change it and mold it, and we did that on several different situations.
Right.
For a film like this, you're coming in, you have 18 days, 20 days to shoot. Yeah. You need to move quick. And that is the one thing as being a producer. I wasn't just the producer, too, on it. I was the line producer. I'm the one that was responsible for all the money. I was cutting the checks. I was sending it out. I was dealing with everything, So I was wearing many hats.
Yeah, I think it's tough on independent film when you're playing multiple roles, and especially line producer. Your job is to say no, right? The line producer and the AD are the two most hated people on set, because it's their job to say no and tell everybody, we have to get the shot. You can't have all of that, your full shot list. No, we can't fit that into the budget. And, but it gets done. And it's a labor of love. It's a labor of passion. People come on and they work really hard, and it's a short shoot schedule. And there were many nights that we were going until probably 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, because we could do pickup shots here in the basement. And then we would all discuss and,
RENAE,
fall into bed and wake up. And
RENAE and I'd have like 2-3 hours of sleep at night, discussing things and moving on to the next step. But we had those 18 days, we've been pushing this ball for 18, 20 days.
It was 24. This one was 24.
24?
18 was come up.
24 out of 18 years is not a lot of time.
Not a lot of time. At the end of the day, you wake up in the morning and you go, I'm making a movie. It's hard and I'm exhausted, but I'm making a movie, and this is the dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I totally understand. And RENAE just said about, you have to tell people no and stuff. Then you also said before, you're working with your friends. Does that make it harder, or is that easier to tell your friends, no and get this done, or you know what I'm saying?
Both, actually. It's there's a fine line you have to cut there. In the end, I'm responsible to my investors. I need to put the best thing I can on screen for them to get their investment back. And anybody that's been in this business for any length of time understands that. All the actors that I brought that know. They say, Tyler, you're doing something. You're bringing actors to the table. You're giving us jobs. Thank you for doing that. And they understand it's a hard job. I mean, anyone that has ever pushed this ball up a hill and down the other side knows that it is not an easy thing to do, and to do it on budget and get things done.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, like a few years ago, you had the crowdfunding. So I knew you guys were working on it for a long time. What was that experience like doing crowdfunding for an independent movie?
That is
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and it's tough. And we priced everything really to be more skewed towards the fans. So, but the thing is, it helped us realize where we were going to shoot the movie, which is the main thing. And I think my motto in this business is everything happens for a reason. Sometimes you don't know what that reason is, but it takes a bit of time and the lights turn on and you go, I get it. And so I want to thank all the Indiegogo fans, anyone that has contributed and followed us and pushed this ball uphill with us.
There have been people over the years that have come in. I mean, BJ McDonald was awesome and helped us a lot. There was just so many people that came on and were supportive over the years. Wes Weizenhofer was on Compound Fracture and was with us on the beginning of this journey. And, sometimes people, because teams change and time goes by and they can't be a part of it and it breaks your heart. But
Justin Beam was on
Justin Beam, and was in Los Angeles and then moved out of town. And, they're just awesome people that were so helpful and supportive, and this movie would not exist without them. Even though maybe they weren't in the final production of it, involved in the final production, we wouldn't have pushed the ball up the hill without them.
How involved were you in the actual editing of the movie? I'm sorry, Peter.
No problem.
What were you going to say,
I just
Peter?
I was going to say that we, as a matter of fact, we kill one of those crowdfunders in the movie.
Well, here's the funny thing. So Michael Levy was actually one of the crowdfunders who his perk was a role in the movie, a speaking role. We ended up giving him a pretty darn big role, and then he came on as AD and got a full producer credit as well. So that Indiegogo worked out well. But we actually killed someone from our Compound Fracture tour. The winner of our Compound Fracture tour ended up win a role in our next film. Yeah. And the one who won, Duane, actually tried to get down here to do the filming, but couldn't. And so it ended up going to the person who had won the next prize from the Compound Fracture tour, and that was John Thurman. Funny story. I love John Thurman. Funny story. We were doing a Grindhouse tour for Compound Fracture. We were in Dallas, Texas. Tyler and I were eating at a Denny's, and we were planning. We knew we had we were four-walling the show and doing screenings. We had our show the next night. We were sitting at Denny's, and we were talking to the waitress, and this guy in the booth behind us leaned his arm over and started asking questions, and his name was John Thurman. And he ended up buying a ticket and coming to the VIP screening the next night in Dallas, Texas. And he ended up winning the drawing that night. And then at the end, every winner from the city that we had been into, like every winner from every city that we did a screening in, got entered into the final drawing to be killed in our next film. And the fact that it ended up being John Thurman just tickles my soul to no end, and I love that.
Well, and the funny thing is, we were in the Denny's, and it came up that I was Sabretooth, and he goes, "No, you weren't." Yeah, I was.
I'm glad you convinced them.
But so that's how that all happened. So, but the Indiegogo, without the Indiegogo people, we would not have been able to get to where we are.
Nope.
And I thank them from the bottom of my heart, and we're getting things out. We couldn't send out certain prizes until the actual movie is released, like i.e. the script
or the DVD of the film.
or the DVD of the film.
Right.
So but we've been in contact with everyone and said, this is coming, and everybody's like, we're so happy to support you guys, and it's been a fun, interesting journey. Like I say, 18 years, up and down.
Yeah. Michael Levy's listening to the show right now, by the way.
Michael Levy's what?
He's listening to the show right now.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, hi, Michael.
He was very excited about the show tonight. That was very good. He just he posted about it in the group, so in the Facebook.
Michael Levy is a total sweet human being, but and I hope he doesn't take offense to this, also brings the creepy. He was pretty darn creepy in this movie.
In the movie, okay.
In the movie, he's acting.
Right, yeah. No,
he had too much fun playing with me. That was crazy.
Yeah.
But he does a great job. He brings it, and it's fine.
Yeah, definitely. So, how hands-on were you guys on the editing, Renee and Tyler?
Oh my God. Okay. Renee, do you want to take this? Here's the thing. Okay, so after we were done, and we did however many days we did, we didn't know if we had everything because it was a quick, fast-paced shoot. You know, we were not stuck into one location. Yes, we had our location in the basement, but we also had exterior shots. We were in Grantsville. Yep. We were all over the place. We were all over the place. So we were kind of running and gunning, you know, and I take my hat off to Stephen De La Sala because, I mean, he had just gone through a hell of a situation.
Oh, yeah, he just had surgery.
He was carrying that camera everywhere. I mean, he
didn't put it down.
He wouldn't let go of it. That's his baby. I think it's been sewn to his body since then. But, I mean, it was crazy. We were all over the place for that time period. And then at the end of that, it was like, okay, take a breather. And Renee we sat across from each other's breakfast table and go, do we have a movie? You know, so then it came to the point where we were stringing it together, and I got an editor here in Georgia to kind of see if we had you do all your wides and see if you have everything and see if you can piece a story together and then a rough cut and run a rough cut. So we had done that, and then we realized we're really close, but we needed to tighten it up and take it to our guy in LA.
Well, we actually, and we talked to Glenn Garland, who worked on Compound Fracture, edited on Compound Fracture, and edited Rob's films.
And edited the Compound Fracture, and he did the Halloweens and that.
And he actually introduced us to John Gilbert, who was in Los Angeles. And, you know, when you're doing indie film and you have a low budget, you're making some of these deals where they will do it for you on your budget, but you're going to have to wait while they're doing their big jobs, their right. really lucrative jobs. And John worked really hard on this film and really long. And there was one sequence at the end where when it finally came together, there were a couple holes. And so we actually, if you read the script, there's a sequence at the end that kind of gets pieced together. I don't know if you remember this from watching it, but it's when all the characters start coming in, and we just started editing, making it faster and faster and faster and faster with all the characters so that it would just build and run right up to the end. And so
we had to basically do that on the fly.
Yeah, and we're sending it to Peter. It to Peter, you know, saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?" But yeah, it's an interesting experience. And then you're pulling shots from other shooting days to fill in, you know,
to get that look from the character on a tight close up and right. to try and fill in the blanks.
Yep, stitching it together.
You know, and then we did all that, and we kind of got to where we needed to. And then I did a film a little while ago. Oh God, it might have been even 2 years ago.
A long time ago.
I did The Silent Natural, where I met Mark Satchin, who was a color correctionist, and he had his van on set there, and I got to become friends with him. And this was in Kentucky, so he said, "Hey, you know, I'm going to come and check out Atlanta. You know, can I stay with you?" I said, "Yeah, come on, park your van in my driveway, and we'll, you know." So he originally color corrected the commercial for us. The trailer for us. The commercial. The trailer for us.
Yeah.
And then we ended up talking him into doing the whole movie.
Yeah, well, while he was here, Tyler Sweet talked him into doing the rest of the film.
Yeah, you know, and so he created through his through the color correction the dark look and the the
ambiance.
The ambiance. He gave the house its character.
Really, because when we were filming this in our basement and we didn't have a huge lighting budget, we were lighting things fairly ambiently. I mean, it was dark-ish, but you don't want it to go too dark because you can always darken it. You can't lighten it up. So the footage was actually pretty light. And then it goes to color correction in post-production, and they're unsung heroes of films. You know, I think scorers, editors, and color correctors, they don't get enough credit. And Mark Sachin came on and color corrected everything, and, you know, you can hide things in darkness sometimes. And he did a beautiful job creating the different levels. And Jason Shannon was the person who scored the film. This was his first full feature score, and he did a bang-up job.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, all those things, like a lot of people don't think of all the different people that are involved in, you know, making the movie, the color correctionist, the scorer guy, and all this stuff. So were these, you know, most of these people you met on other projects, like the guy who did the score and everything, and you just, you know, get to know him from doing other movies?
Yeah, everything happens for a reason. You know, we had, for the score, I was working in a different direction, and then I ended up a chance meeting through Jason Shannon. I ended up, you know, talking to Jason, and he said, "Hey, I do music," and he ended up doing the score for our film. It's crazy how things happen, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were you ever? Well, have you watched it with an audience yet? Like, I know it's hard to watch with an audience right now, but I don't know if you did festivals or anything.
No, we've never we didn't do the festival circuits. We were pushing it still down the hill, trying to get everybody in place and tie everything together. And you know, I was wanting to do the festival circuits and stuff, but then I just want to release it because it's been so long since we shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's got. I know it's gonna be on video on demand. There's also gonna be a physical release.
It will be on DVD. Yes, widely.
Yes, it's dropping April 21st. So please check it out on iTunes, all the platforms,
Amazon, DirecTV, Xfinity.
Yeah.
For people like me who like the physical. I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh yeah, you know, for the DVDs are going to release a little bit after that. Not exactly sure. I was just talking with our distributor a little while ago, and they said there are some delays with this whole COVID stuff. So things are like a day or two behind, and they can't give a definite. But it is coming out right away
on physical.
Yeah. Do you know if maybe you don't know yet, but do you know if there's any like specials on the physical release on the DVD?
You mean as in
like extras, bonus? Yeah, bonus features, I guess.
Bonus. We have. It is just the film on this one. We have, when we re-release, we will have something put together. We did not have enough time to pull it all together and get something out there for this one.
Yeah.
However, if you were an Indiegogo donator, you are getting a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff in the Indiegogo private production factory. So there's that.
Yeah, very cool. Behind the scenes, BTS just doesn't really have much to do with this movie, but I worked on my first movie in December, first feature film, and the director asked me if I would also do the BTS footage, and I just said, yeah, absolutely, and I had no idea what that meant, but I agreed to do it, and then I Googled it afterwards to see what I agreed to do.
Yeah, BTS is big. If you don't have your BTS, you kind of got, you know, you're in a tough situation.
Right. Yeah, very good. So, can you talk about Compound Fracture? I've not seen Compound Fracture, and I like everyone involved. Where can you see Compound Fracture?
Well, that's the thing. You know, Neil, Compound Fracture has. We released it in 2016.
2014.
No, I think it was 15. Might have been 15.
It was 14.
14. The thing is, it was tied up in the whole Alchemy bankruptcy case,
So yes, we had a distributor. They sub-distributed with Alchemy. Alchemy ended up going bankrupt, which caused a lot of problems for Lionsgate, Magnolia Pictures, all of the biggies. We were all being sub-distributed. They were
Sony,
yeah. So what ended up happening with Compound Fracture is that anytime you would rent it, it was going into a bankruptcy black hole. So we pulled it as far as we could. We have the rights back now, and we're re-releasing that this fall with Level 33 again, who's releasing Penance Lane. So that one's going to be coming out.
Who released it in the first place?
Yeah, I've been wanting to see it. I like Tyler, yourself, Derek Mears is in it, Leslie Easterbrook, a lot of cool people are involved.
Yep, Alex Saxon, who actually we tapped Hartley'd him on that film, and he went on to Foster's and Finding Carter, and he's on Nancy Drew right now. So he's a
very cool.
I love
it.
Yeah.
Well, quick, I guess. What is Compound Fracture about?
Compound Fracture it's a ghost story. It's a haunted house story, but the truth of it is it's really a family drama. It's really about the cycle of abuse as it goes down from generation to generation, and how the sins of the father visit on the son, and they all kind of come to a head in this compound that Muse Watson, who plays Garrison, the father of Tyler, he's created this compound to keep out the bad spirits, but it kind of all comes down to one final battle in this house.
All right, very cool. Now, did you become friends with Derek on the convention scene, Tyler, or did you also know him? Because I assume like you guys might have been up for like certain similar roles together.
Yeah, I met that Derek Mears character back in the late 80s.
All right.
We were auditioning for films, at the same time. And we'd see each other and became friends that way. So I've known Derek for decades before I asked him to work with me. And I said, hey, the way I got Derek to come on board is I said, hey, Derek, how'd you like to beat the crap out of me?
Yeah.
He's a friend of ours, right? So we lived a block and a half away from each other.
Yeah, we ended up moving into the same neighborhood, and we lived 2 blocks away from each other. And Tyler was in Halloween, and then Derek called him and said, hey, guess what I just booked? So that was pretty fun. We used to say all we needed was a Freddy, and we would have the perfect triumvirate in our little neighborhood.
Yeah. But so, I said, hey, how do you like to, beat me up type of thing? And he goes, I'd love to. And I go, in a movie. So then he goes, you're in, And so that's how I got Derek in.
Yeah.
And, it was another thing, pulling in favors and friends. And on that one, I'm telling you, Derek brought it.
Yeah.
I was so, it was kind of funny because he was like, came to set, because, you help a friend out and they go, oh, yeah, we're going to, and he came to set, we had jibs, we had all kinds of things. He goes, oh, you're making a movie.
I don't know what he thought. I think he thought we were doing a student film, but he showed up and he was like, wow, this is a real movie, you guys.
So it's been a fun process.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I hosted a panel with it was you, Brian Steele, Derek Mears, and Kane Hodder, and I'm 5'4" 3/4. I say 5'5". So it was I was very short next to everybody, but I think that helped the panel because it made everyone else seem even bigger than they are. But it was a good time.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. So where could people, if they want to follow Penance Lane online and see where they can any news about it, where can they do that online?
All right, they can go to penancelane.com. They can follow us on Facebook at Penance Lane Movie, and they can follow us on Instagram at Penance Lane.
Very good. And Peter, what do you have? What do you have in the works right now?
Well, right now I'm just developing a new project, which is a thriller. I live here in Florida, and this thriller is based on one of the most brutal crime that occurred in 1969, and here in Florida, and it's a really interesting project. There was a book written about it, a script. Several people wanted to make it, nobody did, and it's about a 8-year-old girl who vanishes, and then it's a true story. And then, and it's just an interesting journey I wanted to get on, and I'm trying to bring film here in Florida as well, even though we don't really have incentive, but I'm trying to be part of this community as much as possible. This will be the third movie I'm setting up here in Florida. So that's my next project. So I'm trying to find, connect the dots and find the right people.
Mm-hmm. And Renee and Tyler, obviously, of Compound Fracture, it's going to be re-releasing, and Penance Lane, that'll be out in a few days. Are you working on something besides that?
Yeah, we have the TV series that we're working on, and I also just finished a TV series for Netflix. I'm in Jupiter's Legacy that will be coming out.
Oh, cool.
Hopefully this fall.
And Renee?
Well, I still work in the comic book world, so I also still work for DarbyPop.com. If you would like to check out some comic books, they have some great stuff.
I would.
And,
and she's my partner with this TV series that we're dealing with. We come as a team.
All right, fair enough. Yeah. How does that work when you guys are writing something together? Do you butt heads at all, or?
I like to joke and say Tyler is the world's most intimidating muse. He stands behind me and yells, "Right!"
Well, that's very good. It seems like he's very supportive then.
Well, we make a good team. I'm the one that.
Oh yeah, we were just saying he's the motor and the exterior of the semi, and I'm on the steering wheel and the brakes usually.
Very good. Well, I really like Penance Lane a lot. I thought it was a great movie. Everyone's great in it. It looks cool. The villains are very neat. A great Schneider's awesome in it, and I hope people check it out because I highly recommend it. And not just because you guys are nice and are on the show. I really liked it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah. Which people have told me not to say because then I do say that once in a while on the show. Then they I think people listen a lot. Realize if I don't say that, I might not actually like the movie. But
you just let people in on your secret, Dill.
Yeah.
That you don't usually lie about that.
Right. Well, I might not lie. I might just say. But I really appreciate
we just about made it to an hour.
Yeah. I appreciate. Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate. Yeah. Now's the time to say what I really think. No, I'm just kidding. But I really appreciate.
Lay it on the line, brother.
I appreciate all three of you coming on. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, Peter. It's nice to talk to you. We don't get to see Peter enough.
Same here.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll see everything. And I haven't seen Tyler in a long time. We used to see him all the time at the conventions, but hopefully everything starts up again at some point, and people can
back to normal.
Go to things.
Yeah, as soon as it gets back to normal, we'll cross paths again.
Yeah,
shake hands, watch them right afterwards. It'll be great.
Bump elbows or something. We'll stand 6 feet apart and wave. Something like that. But
yeah, right.
Be a totally different thing. All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate this, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.
All right, you guys have a great night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
How you doing? This is Lance Henriksen, and you're listening to WithoutYourHead.com.